I'm curious if Oregon fans traveled for that, Damien, and what your experience was like for your first championship Saturday from the media perspective.
Yeah, no, I can tell you guys, it was a hell of a time. Like, it was a lot of fun. The setup for our set with CBS was great. We were right next to the fans. We were right next to the Penn State student section. I was chopping it up with them the whole game. Sometimes we were bickering, sometimes we were in agreement, but it was a lot of fun. But Oregon fans, I expected them to travel a little bit more, but it was like 95% Penn State fans. Mm-hmm. And the beauty of that, if you're Oregon, is watching all those people leave at the end of the fourth quarter. Once that last pick by Drew Aller, once he's picked off, then you just see all that 95% of the stadium just start to clear out. So it was definitely interesting to see, the way that Oregon was able to handle essentially a road game. And they played really, really well. Like I said earlier, I think they should be, the most complete and team you would favor to win the national championship. When you look at Dylan Gabriel, what he's done, and Tez Johnson. I mean, that Tez Johnson connection, that dude looked like one of the best receivers in the country last night, like hands down. So it was a cool experience. I was glad it was a fun game. In the early stages, it looked like Oregon was probably going to run away with it. And then Penn State obviously came back and made it competitive. But I'll be damned if James Franklin did not just find a way to screw this game up. And I mean, there were so many examples. There was a time they threw a deep ball to Tyler Warren. I think they were down 7, maybe 14. Threw a deep ball to Tyler Warren. It goes incomplete. It's second down. The clock is stopped, and Tyler Warren needs a blow. Well, James Franklin blows one of his timeouts just because he doesn't want to run a play without Tyler Warren on the field. It's like that wasn't good game management. It just, there were a lot of examples of, all the conversations that we've had about James Franklin, all the pressure that it puts on him. He coaches that way. He coaches like he is under pressure, like his back is absolutely against the wall. And his players play that way. And that's why even when you have every opportunity to upset Oregon in that championship game, you just don't get it done. They just can't do it.
Not to beat a dead horse again, Chris and Damien, but some would say that Texas fans and Oregon fans who elected not to travel for the conference championship games might see that the playoff might mean more to them, and they would rather spend their hard-earned money on going to playoff games than going to conference championship
That was a conversation.
Games.
Do
you know how far Eugene is from Indianapolis, Indiana?
That's like 15, 20 miles.
When you already know you have a spot guaranteed, it is a weird thing. But as for this game itself, like Penn State, like, I don't know, man. Like, here we are again.
Yeah,
a top 5 game, and you're just short again. You're not like getting run out of the building. James Franklin is 1-14 against top 5 teams, and since 2000, I think the coaches with the worst. Since 2000, I think the AP had this. The worst records against the top 5 were Joe Paterno 0-7 and James Franklin 1-14. So like maybe it's just a Penn State thing. I don't know. Like the idea that Penn State is like the 6th best team in the country is like 100% right. They're no better than that. They're no worse than that. They're just what they are. And so I don't know, like Penn State, you're just going up against this wall time and time and time again. And you're like, you're in the game, but you're not winning the game. And this is totally different because you could run the ball. You could move it in this game. It was a very good and exciting game, but like just so weird. I don't know what it is if you're Penn State other than you got a pretty good path to the playoff right now. Yeah. You are probably better than those 2 teams you're playing. The path to the semifinals for Penn State is clear. But if you lose to SMU at home,
bad news.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
And hold on. Before we segue, I want to say one more thing because I know we're pointing a lot of fingers at James Franklin right now. Tyler Warren, where the hell were you last night? Yep. Did you leave the hotel?
That's where he was.
Did you not get off the bus? Like, brother, this was his moment to shine. And really, he is the type of player, and he's so versatile. He's so skilled. He can do so many different things. Like, good players sometimes can outplay bad coaching. Sometimes. But when your best player on the field does not show up, I mean, I think about that early drop he had on a go ball deep down the field. And it was just like, after that, he was just a complete non-factor the rest of the game. And obviously, when you have bad coaching, sometimes the onus is just on the players. But then, like I said, when your best player doesn't show up, it's hard. hard
It
to
seemed
win.
like Oregon was going to do everything in their power to take him away. He had a pretty night. I think it was 7 catches for like 80 yards, something like that. By his standards.
Really,
anyway.
that is the most surprising thing I've heard all day, because it did not. I couldn't, like, just based off memory, I could not tell you that happened. Absolutely.
But I think ultimately they wanted to take him away, and the problem with Penn State is that there's nowhere else to go. Like, Katron Allen had a nice game. Like, there's nowhere else to go in the passing game if you don't have that. The receivers just are not good enough to make some big time.
Come on, Kotal Nicky. Scheme some shit up.
There's a reason that Penn State was listed as a possible landing spot for Concepcion out of the portal, the transfer wide receiver. So Oregon, real quick, I do think we need to give Oregon some flowers here. Number 1 team in the country, only undefeated team in the country, number 1 in the seeding, the rankings, number 1 in my 134. To go 13-0 is really hard to do, and we saw that because nobody else in the country could do it. Damien's done that before. Like, he knows how difficult that is. And so
I never did that. I never went 13-0.
You never went undefeated in the regular season? Well, there you go. That just goes to show how difficult it is. So Oregon, like, we wondered coming into this game, like, how good are they really? They haven't played many big games. How much can we trust them? But in the big games, they have been fantastic. Dillon Gabriel's numbers, I don't have them in front of me. His game against Ohio State, his game against Michigan, his game against Penn State, the 3 best defenses he played, lights out. He's unbelievable, and he may get an invitation to the Heisman ceremony because of that. But Oregon, clear number 1 going into the bracket. I think they're the Vegas favorite to win it. They may not win it, but they're a really, really good program. And I think that first year in the Big Ten to do that, all that travel, absolutely hats off.